So I wanted to make a sharpening video on specifically using clamped guided systems for people who are kind of new or even intermediate um, on basic usage, tips and tricks, and how to go about the most important steps in sharpening, kind of like the most important things you can do to make sure your edge is good. This isn't going to be like a mirror edge tutorial or anything like that, but I've used every sharpening system almost, from the Lansky, Wicked Edge, Hapstone, KME, Edge Pro. This is the TS Prof. And I am, ask a lot of people in the forums, and I've had just every problem known to man. And a lot of these tips were given to me early on, but I didn't understand why or what they really meant. So that's what I'm trying to fix here with this video, is give you a visual and an explanation behind the reasons we do things, and to keep it simple, and really focus on what matters. Because at the end of the day, we want a healthy, sharp edge. And that's something that you don't see talked a lot about on the forums. A lot of people are chasing mirrors, but they don't talk about just having a healthy edge. So with that being said, let's get into it. So things you will need, or are at least recommended, are going to be included in this. A knife that needs sharpening, obviously. Your sharpener. Sharpie. Go with a color. This was a tip given to me recently, I think by, I think his name's David. Use a color because when you're taking metal shavings off, they can appear black, and so it's easier. This is something I don't hear anybody else really say, but if you have a dry erase marker, it can help you find your angle for stropping. A big rubber pencil eraser is good for cleaning stones as you go, for taking the metal shavings off. A loup to inspect your edges. This does come lighted, but mine's dead. With that being said, if you have a giant, bright, swiveling lamp, you don't really need the light on the loup itself. So that's another thing I recommend, is a big lamp, or at least one that can swivel and let you see angles. I'm trying to keep it high so that it doesn't glare the video. An angle cube is recommended, not 100% necessary, and don't get too hung up on which cube you get. A lot of people are like, well, this one's 0.001% accurate, but the thing is, you're never going to be that accurate, so don't bother. Just get any angle cube. I think that's it. Oh, acetone or alcohol to clean your blade between stones if you are chasing a mirror, and even if you're not, you want to kind of keep things from being contaminated. This is the tape I use to tape my blades if I'm going to do so. It is Scotch Blue exterior painter's tape. I find it stays on better than the regular painter's tape. So, your stones, maybe if you're using water stones or silicon carbide, you want to soak them before use until they stop bubbling. Oh, and last but not least, a water bottle. If you are using water, if you don't have one of those squirt bottles, just put the cap on a regular Pull and Springs, poke a hole through it, good to go. So, I think that's everything you'll really need. Oh, and then I recommend having some type of thin paper around to test. That'll come in handy later. So this edge, it's not terribly dull, it just, I don't know, it doesn't want to cut things. So I want to fix that. So the first thing you want to note when using a clamping system is your knife easy to clamp? Now this knife has a flat, so it won't be too bad, so I have some wiggle room there. Some knives are not going to be super easy to clamp. In that case, kind of don't bother with all that getting the perfect position shit if it's not already a pretty easy to clamp knife. What you want to focus on is just getting good purchase. You want it to really be solid. If you have some wiggle room, then we can try to move things around to match your bevel a little bit better. I hope you're going to be able to see this video. Alright, another thing to keep in mind, this system doesn't really have an issue. Some do, like KME. If you're using a full flat ground or a hard to clamp blade, something you can do is put some cut up yoga mat or piece of padded tape in the clamp to kind of give it more to squeeze onto. So keep that in mind. I'm going to loosen this. That's already loose. With the TS Prof, or if your clamp has the option to have more than one place of leverage, what you want to do is snug the first closest to the knife and then do the back. So I think the Lansky does that as well. So for general purposes, what people will tell you to do is draw a line from heel to tip, close enough, and follow that line, the middle of it, to get your clamping position. A tip given to me recently was to simply line up the tip of your knife somewhere along where the tip of your clamp is. And so that's what I'm going to go by. I'm just going to put this here, put it back a little bit. I'm going to snug this up. Tighten it. Alright, that's not going anywhere. So now we're going to find our angle, right? So what you want to do is take a high grit stone, because this way you won't do damage while you're finding your angle, right? Now I'm at about, you can see, for the TS Prof it kind of has a, I don't know what you want to call it, a built-in gauge. So it says it's about 19. Gonna go ahead and zero this. And it does say it's about 19. So it's about 19. We're going to see if it removes the Sharpie. Now hopefully you can see this. I'm going to get my head close because I'm using a freaking GoPro. I'll give you some different lighting sources. Okay. The Sharpie's being removed, right, but only from the shoulder and not the apex. So that means you want to raise your angle, right? So I was at about 19. I'm going to raise it until it's about 20. See how that goes. Okay, and I'm still not removing all the Sharpie. Alright. So for my purposes, I'm going to put Sharpie back on, just so I get a clean reading. And I'm going to raise my angle more, to about 21 degrees. That should be around 21, we can check. Yep, about 21. Okay, there we go. So that's much better. So as you can hopefully see, all of the Sharpie is being removed from that whole side. And so what you want to do is flip it over and check the other side. Okay. So we have most of the Sharpie from here to here, or from here to here rather. Up here it could go even higher, but it's close, and what I'm going to do is just reprofile it so that this is the angle. So it's about 21 degrees. It's kind of steep, but for the video I'm not going to reprofile, okay? I'm going to leave it at 21. So now that we know it's about 21 degrees, I'm going to remove this stone. And what you could do is use the compensating system, but whatever. I'm going to go to my most coarse stone, which is a 120 grit silicon carbide right now. Whatever stone you think you'll need. Now, because I do have to do a little bit of angle change, I want to start fairly coarse. Okay. And now what you want to do is put that angle to about 21 degrees. And now it just so happens that this is about the same thickness and is about 21 degrees. Just to verify that, I am going to take a paper towel, wipe off the water, Sharpie it one more time, and check. Okay. And you know what? That actually could go a little higher. But it's not too bad. Actually, yeah, I'm going to raise it just a little more, maybe about a half degree. There we go. Now I can check with this big bright lamp above me. I can see this scratch pattern nice and clearly, and I can see what the stone is doing. It's not 100%, but it's very, very close, and so that's good enough for me. So now we found our angle. It's going to work on both sides. I'm not expecting it to be dead on. That's okay. Alright. It is okay. There's a few things to keep in mind here. This is the initial apexing phase of the sharpening, right? So I'm going to talk about that. You're going to be using a coarse stone. Now, a lot of people are going to worry about scratching their blades, especially with, say, the KME system, okay? The KME system uses diamond plates, and what people will tell you is that those diamond plates are going to release diamonds as you sharpen, especially if they're new. Those released diamonds are then going to scratch up your blade. Now this is true. This is absolutely true, and what you can do is take this tape, put it over the the majority of this, cut it right at the bevel, protect your blade. I'm not worried about it because I know that's not going to happen here. I'm using silicon carbide. And I mean, even if it was, what happens with that is you'll see little stray scratches. Now what you won't see is what people ask about when you're sharpening and then you go way too far. I have it set so I can't right now, but you go way too far, it'll make about a 1 inch or 1.5, whatever, however wide this is, about 1 inch scratch pattern up your blade. If you see that, it's wide, it's straight, that's because you slipped. That's not because of stray scratches. It just isn't, okay? And how you avoid that, you can see here, I have a stop collar on either side, right? The TS Prof actually has these little springs as well. But what you do is you loosen it, right, on one end. And now I want it to, I don't want my stone to slip off, right? So come to right about the end, snug it up. Now check, will it come off? All the way to the tip. See the tip, it will come off. So I want to come back up and tighten it there. Right, now this isn't coming off. So I won't slip off this way. You do the same thing the other way. Loosen up here. Come to right about the end of your stone. Alright, tighten your stop collar. Okay, now check the tip, we're good. So now, no matter what, this stone is not slipping off on either direction. Okay, really important. Check both sides, I guess. But we are good. We are good to go. If you don't have a stop collar, I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the video, but you can get them online, you can get them all over the place. They're drill stop collars. I will link as many of these items as I can at the bottom of the video in the description, so you can just click on it and go to Amazon. So I need to remember to include the stop collar because I haven't written that down yet. But now this is going to avoid 99% of those slips that people ask about, and they talk about stray diamonds, okay? It's not. It's your stone is slipping onto your blade. It's going to look about this wide. It's going to have a straight scratch pattern, and people are going to tell you, oh, just tape your blade because it's the diamonds, it'll break in, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to break in to stop that. You need to never slip up your blade. If you have blades you really care about, just get the stop collars. We should talk about what grits we're using, right? And whether diamond versus non-diamond, etc. I just don't have diamond stones here right now, so I'm using silicon carbide. But from what I understand and from very smart people I've talked to, if you're using a modern steel, super steel, say S90V, S30V, M390, M4, any steel in that class that has a lot of big vanadium carbides, you're pretty much going to want to go full diamond on your progression. It's going to give you a better edge. It's not that these stones can't cut, they will. They'll cut the edge and it'll be sharp, but it's not going to be as healthy of an edge, and that's just what I've heard from smarter people than I am, so I would go by it. Now, when you're using diamonds especially, at these low grits, something you want to worry about is edge health, okay? When you're using diamonds especially, if you use too much pressure, it's really gonna fuck with you. The actual, once you get to the apex, you need to never be using any pressure. So right now I'm not quite hitting the apex. I can use a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I mean this, right? This is where you want to be 90% of your sharpening, right? Zero pressure. And at the very beginning of your sharpening, maybe add the weight of your hand, literally. Do not add more than a couple pounds of pressure at the very most, okay? And then once you get to your apex, pretty much try to just stick with this. There's a few reasons for that. Now, the first reason that a lot of people will say that these systems are so precise, your angle will never change, okay? But if you use any pressure, do you see that? This is a very expensive, very well-made system. But once I start adding pressure, my angle's changing. Okay? This is gonna fuck with you. It just will. I mean, I think I measured it before. It came out to about 1/3 of a degree. On something like a KME, it's much, much more. It's more than that. So if you need to use pressure to make progress, you need to go down to a coarser stone and adjust your technique. And I'll show you technique in a second. Now, for general guidelines for your apex health, I would never get a burr with anything coarser than about 150 grit diamond plate, like KME Gold Series 140. That's your limit. Don't apex with the 100, don't apex with the 50, and definitely don't keep going and use pressure. Once you're at about 150 grit, if you apex with minimal pressure and then we de-stress the edge, you should be okay. But with water stones, I would say about the same. About your 100 grit, you want to stay around there. What can happen, especially if you use pressure, now this has actually happened to me and I wish I could show you. If you're using a very coarse diamond stone and pushing down and building a big burr, what will happen is you'll damage the edge health so much that later in your sharpening, you will get big chips coming out of your blade. And I'm not talking micro chips, I'm talking the size of your bevel width. Very large damaged chips. You don't want that. This initial sharpening phase is the most important part, okay? Again, I feel like people don't talk about edge health enough. Every time that burr gets bigger and bigger, you cause lateral force, which is an edge's biggest enemy. That's really, when you go to use the knife, the edge itself isn't going to last. It's going to buckle under itself like that. 2 cardboard cuts and it's going to be unusable. If you keep your pressure light and you do what I'm saying here, you're not going to have those issues, at least not nearly as much. Some ways to get around using pressure is your stroke, right? So there are 3 types of strokes. There's the sweeping stroke, there's the scrubbing stroke, and there's kind of the circular scratch pattern all over the place stroke. With diamonds especially, this matters a lot because your diamonds are in the same set position. So if you just keep doing this, it's going to take off a lot of metal early on, and then it's going to slow the hell down. So what you want to do is vary that scratch pattern, reestablish this way. Once that's set, go this way, okay? This is going to keep your scratch patterns from lining up with your diamonds and slowing your sharpening down substantially. What you can also do is this circular stroke. I would only do this in the profiling stage. If you do this, your scratches are always going to be lapping over each other and taking off the most amount of metal possible. And this is true with every stone, but it is especially true, I just wrote up right there. It is especially true with diamonds. With diamonds, doing this, you're going to remove a shit ton of metal very quickly, okay? So go to the most coarse stone for the job that you need. If you're below 150 grit, just visually check how even is my apex. Am I not my apex, my bevel. Am I very, very close to apexing, but don't apex. Just get there, get very close, and then stop. Okay, so I don't want to feel a burr if I'm below that level. Alright. Now, after that, after 150, go ahead and do your scrubbing strokes, do your sweeping strokes, whatever, until you feel a burr. Alright, for sure. Mm. A few things to keep in mind, right? So let's say you have a chipped tip or a snap tip, a rounded tip, or chips in the edge. What you would do to get to the place where I'm at right now, in my opinion, is you have two real options. Raise your angle as high as it will go. Um, so just like 40 degrees, whatever. And then just you're going to grind through until there's no chips. It's going to be dull as a butter knife, but you're going to get through those chips very quickly. Or you can even do that with a mixture of taking a stone, right, and grinding into it this way. I wouldn't do that in a clamp. I would take it out and literally run it up and down. I would advise this way more than that, but that's something I do when I'm feeling lazy. Um, and what that's going to do is really lower the surface area of your bevel and get through that metal quickly. And then when you go to sharpen, there's such little surface area, you're going to re-apex much faster than if you had just tried to sharpen through it like this. Like if I had a big chip and I just sat there doing this, it would take absolutely forever. You hear what I'm saying? So grind through it, and then reset your bevel. That's going to be your best bet. I promise. Another thing, okay? Let's say you're reprofiling, big time, okay? Let's say I want to go down to 16 degrees. So I'd come down, tighten that. Hold on one second. Not sure if this will be, looks like it's about, I don't know, we'll see. It's about 17, close enough, right? So let's say I want to reprofile. This is a really important thing. Put your Sharpie on. Now, because I changed my angle so drastically, what's going to happen, it's just hitting the shoulder, right? Look how small. Alright, and look how small that amount of surface area is being hit with your coarse stone. Now, not a lot of, I don't see a lot of people talk about the fact that when you're reprofiling like that, you need to start with sweeping strokes. You want to start at your heel and go right off your tip. Okay? Now, once you do that, say 20 times, maybe start doing this. Okay? But what you do not want to do, it's okay here, but still not ideal, but what you don't want to do is be on a belly or near the tip and start doing up and down scrubbing strokes, because that is going to remove so much metal in one little spot that you're going to create a flat spot in your curve. And it is very difficult to get out if you don't know what you're doing. Very, very difficult. So always just start with these sweeping strokes. Once your whole, 80% of that bevel is shiny with the Sharpie gone, go ahead and start scrubbing. You do your circles, do whatever you need to do to get the work done. But start. It's going to go quickly because that surface area is so small that the pressure is applying much more force on that little tiny area. So it's going to go quickly. So yeah, just don't, especially out here. I recommend just go right off the tip. Right off. Just take your time. And again, you don't want to be using pressure. You really want to just take your time. Okay, so one thing I want to make sure I go over, just because I talked about the edge health and pressure, and I want to talk about why we don't use pressure and what that does to the edge. Um, your burr should never really be large. And again, I know I already said this, but the biggest enemy to your knife's edge is lateral force. And that's what you're giving it when you're pushing down on your sharpener. And not only that, but your angle's changing, as I said earlier. You see, things are changing. So you're never going to get that perfect crisp edge, and you're never going to have a healthy edge. Um, when you get a burr on every stone, I would recommend, let's say I have a burr right now, I could feel it. Okay, so I flip sides, get a burr, whatever, go back. So the burr is there. Once you can feel a burr, I would recommend never doing more than about 10, 10 to 20 strokes in any given area before you flip. And every once in a while, if you've been doing that a while, I'd recommend just doing a couple burr reduction strokes. So what that looks like, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So maybe do double that, flip it, do those 20, flip it. All right. You don't want to build a big burr. Your burr is your enemy. It looks like if you're doing scrubbing strokes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Move over. 1, 2, 3, 10. Move over. 1, 2, 3. Okay. What that really looks like is you're moving up and down, and you're slowly moving up the edge. Okay. And like I said, when you've done that a few times, what you really want to do is just take the time to just kind of weaken it and reduce it. Don't keep building a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger burr. Okay? Take the time to do that. That took me 3 seconds, and it's going to help. Okay? Now, a couple more things. The tip. I want to talk about how to sharpen a tip. All right? What you want to avoid, I want to demonstrate this well, is coming off the edge and letting your stone do this. So what that's going to do is round the tip. Okay? Now, the problem with that is the tip is almost always going to be on a belly. And when you're on the belly, your stone can rock. Hopefully you can see that. Because your stone is only making contact with the blade on a little piece of it. Right? So when you get to the tip, how can you be sure you're hitting it? Right? So what a lot of people will say is add a little bit of pressure towards the tip like that. And then go to about halfway. And that will work. Okay? If you go to about halfway, I fuck that up all the time. So what I usually do is when I'm getting close to the tip, is I'll actually put pressure the other way, and I'll sweep right off. Kind of. This won't round your tip. And I'm not adding pressure, I'm just, if I had to choose which way my hand was leaning, it'd be this way. So I'm just going like that, and I'm just sweeping right off. Now what that looks like for actual getting work done near the tip, you can focus, again, don't do this early, wait till you have your whole bevel, but you can kind of reposition yourself so you can see what you're doing, okay? Give it a little bit of a twist, just barely anything. When people say add pressure to one side of the stone, they don't mean do this, they don't mean push, they mean this tiny rock that there is. You just want contact. So give it that tiny rock, okay? This is okay. That's not going to round your tip. But again, if you go too far, especially if you go past halfway, so where this is, you want that to line up right about there. Past halfway, see what's happening? Just rolling off. So you have to be very careful. I'm trying to explain this the best I can, but you shouldn't really have the issue where you need to torque it this way. Okay, if it's not hitting the very tip and you're doing this and it's still not hitting, that means that it needs to be ground down so that it hits. It doesn't mean you compensate by spinning your stone, because this will work. If I do this and push hard, it might cause the stone to kind of fake that it's the right angle, but don't do that. Just get it right. You know, take the time. See right there, I even started to do it. You know, that's why I really prefer, if anything, if I want to go to about halfway, I might try to keep it level or even come in a little bit. Okay, because I don't want to round my fucking tips. I just don't. I even did a little bit there, but I'll be able to fix that. Same thing goes for the heel area. You can see this Spyderco actually has a weird heel area where it's not hitting the Sharpie there. It wasn't hitting it because the stone was flat. So this is a really good example. Your stone should obviously be flat. So when I'm doing the sweeping stroke, look where it's stopping, right there, right? Because I'm letting it ride right on the center point of the stone. Now, all right, so what you want to do is come to, you know, I have the sweeping stroke, it's not hitting, right? That's not happening. So what you want to do is apply that little bit of pressure so that the stone is rocking on that side. You'll see it's starting to remove that Sharpie now. But you don't want the stone, it's kind of the same concept. You don't want it to get to the point where it's on its side. You just want to be on that plane. You want to ride the bevel, but just on this part of the stone. That way it's making contact down there. Okay. And the reason for that right here is that there's just a slight belly. So similar to out here, the stone isn't making full contact. It's not flat. It's not perfectly flat. There is a tiny bit of wiggle. So you just need to manipulate that, but what you're not doing is using the corner or pushing hard, okay? Now say you have a bad plunge. This one has kind of a bad one. There's a few ways you can go about it. One way is with a Dremel. And what you do is get I think it's called a drill sharpening bit. Do I have one with me right now? That would work. So something like this right here. This package hasn't been opened yet, but you'd put that in. And very carefully, you know, hold your knife, you know, or even put it in the clamp, and then increase that choil until it's past the area of metal that hasn't been brought to a flat point. With this one, it would be about right where my fingernail is there. If I brought that choil out to that fingernail right there, I wouldn't have any issues. Okay. The other way you could do it is by applying a little bit of pressure and doing very deliberate up and down strokes right there. And what you need to be careful of, though, is do not ride it during your sharpening. Because when you, right, if I have my stone, I ride the plunge. Okay, now my stone's tilted this way. So what's that doing? Applying a lot of pressure about 1 inch out. Right here, you're going to get a little recurve starting because you're riding that. That little tiny surface area is going to dig in. You're going to get a wavy bevel and you're not going to know what the hell's going on. So you can kind of avoid it entirely. Just sharpen, just know you can't go that far, be careful. I even hit it right there. I'm using the wrong hand, I use my left hand, but go right there, right? I'm actually going to take that out with a Dremel, so maybe I'll show you how I do that actually. No, that'll be for another video. So you can flatten down, say like a paramilitary 2. You can use the side, push a little bit, just a little bit, to apply that extra pressure to get that plunged area flat. You can do that. But again, I just wanted to kind of show people what we as sharpeners mean when we say pressure. We don't mean bear down. We mean manipulating where the actual force is being applied. And yes, like in early sharpening stages, when you haven't even apexed, you can give it a little. Give it, give it the weight of your hand. See, it is wiggling my thing a little bit, my sharpener, but we'll get that out later. So give it a little bit, maybe do your circles. Get some work done. You know what I mean? That's okay. But once you've apexed, or if you're trying to hit the tip, or if you're trying to fix here, you're not pushing hard, okay? You're never pushing. That just needs to be clear. So let's say we're sharpening. This is a pretty coarse stone, as I said. This is a 120 grit silicon carbide. So I actually am getting a burr, but this side isn't done yet. So, but let's see what I can do. See, I keep doing it. I need to add that choil in. But for demonstration purposes, I want to be able to show you what I'm talking about. So it's not hitting near the tip, so that's not going to happen. But I might have been able to apex right here a little bit. So check for your burr, right? What I do is I just take my fingernail. On these early stones, you should be able to just take your fingernail and it'll catch on the way down. Once you've done that, what you want to do, whatever strokes you're doing, now you start doing sweeping. Okay, do this for 20 strokes. Get all those scratches blended together. Okay, switch, do it again, 20 strokes or whatever. Don't overthink it. Don't really count it. Just do this for a while. Keep the pressure lighter and lighter. Now that you're finished with your stone, we're assuming that you're apexed on both sides. So now we're just finishing your stone. Okay. What you're going to want to do is get as much of that burr removed as possible. Okay. Keep lightening pressure. Keep reducing the amount of strokes you do. And then when you're finished, when you've done that for a while, when you've gotten to a good place, what I want you to do is just do 1, 2. That's with normal pressure. Do this for, say, 5. Just normal pressure. Like, let the weight of the stone. Okay? Weight of the stone. Alright, and then once you've done 5, I want you to actually pick up the stone. Not pick it up, but reduce that pressure so it's not even the full weight of the stone. See how? Okay? 1, 2. And now, since we're on a coarse stone, or if you've ever used pressure using your knife, just whatever. I do this every sharpening. We've got we've got the burr gone, but we used a coarse edge. So take a stone. I usually take the next stone up, so this is my 220. Very lightly do this. Okay, that's called de-stressing your edge. Do it 3 or 4 times. Switch stones. It's going to take a minute to re-apex because you just broke that apex off. But what you did is you took off any unhealthy metal, right? It's called de-stressing your edge. So you took off that unhealthy metal. So you de-stress the edge, and what that's going to do is from here on forward, you're not using pressure and you're not stressing the edge any further. Um, these these coarse stones, if you use any pressure, they kind of damage the edge. They damage the metal, they weaken it. So in your final product, it's not going to last, it's not going to be healthy. So you de-stress it, re-apex on a less coarse stone that's not going to hurt the structural integrity of the steel. Um, I would do it on your coarsest. Um, if you want to be paranoid about it, do it again on your next stone. Just, two light passes with, say, a 400 grit, re-apex with no pressure. Now you have a strong, stable edge that's going to last you. So I hope that answered a lot of questions. I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed. Okay, so the last thing is stropping. Now, once you've gone to your desired end grit, let's say you have a strop. I actually don't. But let's say you have a strop. What I would do, because the strop isn't really going to be able to remove Sharpie, so that's why I have a dry erase marker. So what I would do is, wipe everything off. Okay. Then I would put the dry erase on. And what you want to do is you want to set set it to the same angle. Some people are going to tell you to reduce it by 2-3 degrees. And they're telling you that because you're probably using pressure. But until this point, you've learned, even on your stones, not to use that pressure. On a strop, it's even more important because it has a give. So if I have this strop, right, let me take this out of the, oops. So when you strop, if you push down, you can see it gives, right? It's leather, it gives. And even just a tiny bit could be enough that the leather curls over your edge and rounds it. So with a strop, even more so than your stone, you don't want any pressure. And again, that's why people will tell you reduce your angle by 2 degrees, because that way when you push, it'll then meet your apex instead of rounding it over. But if you have the right angle and you use 0 pressure, right, at most just let the weight of the arm, okay, and then same thing with what I said before, pick it up a little bit, take the pressure off even, okay, you do that, you meet the angle. And what that's going to do is no matter how much you think you took your burr off, you probably didn't, not completely. So the biggest reason why we strop is to take the burr off. Now I did that so I could show you. Right here, see the dry erase came off? That's all you're aiming for. You want that dry erase to come off. Not used to knives this steep, to be honest. Okay. You want to start taking it off the whole edge. So you saw there, I did it once. I was only hitting the shoulder, so I had to increase it. It'll be the same when the strop is in here. You'll just lightly strop away. Okay. With the strop, I do recommend, right, I recommend doing the thing where you slightly go this way, like towards, put the pressure away from the tip and just come right off. Go like this. Okay. So you're going to take the burr, any burr off of your edge, and it's going to clean it up and really bring the keenness out. And that's going to be important for your edge health, like we've been talking about. Very important. So don't think of your strop as, you know, at this stage, if you're watching this video, you most likely are not at the stage where you should be mirror polishing your edges. And so don't think of your strop as a polisher. Stop worrying about polish. Just worry about breaking that burr off and refining. And what you should find at the end of any stone, right up 140 silicon carbide, right? Your stone's in your knife's in here. You should be able to take a piece of paper and have it slice into it like this. Okay. Keep refining on every single stone until it can do this. When you finish, when you strop, that should be what you're aiming for as well. You know, you should be able to shave, you know, I don't know. I'll make an actual sharpening video. I'll show you the actual process another time. But I wanted to make this video to just put out the concepts. Your loup is another really, I guess I should explain these items a little more since I did recommend them. The loup is, what the fuck did I do with my knife? So let's say this is in here. Get in there, you prick. There we go. So your loup, I don't know if the GoPro is going to be able to see any of this, but you're going to use it to inspect your edge. And the biggest reason you want to use this early on is it's to make sure that you're getting rid of the burr, right? So you do those burr reduction strokes, you check both sides, you look in the loup. If you still see a little glint of light at the very edge, that's burr. So keep trying to get rid of that burr as much as possible. And then finally, your eraser. Pretty much any stone you have, you can use, especially diamonds. An eraser is great for diamonds, but let's dry this off a little bit. It is loaded a little bit. I don't know if you can see that, but you can take an eraser and just erase it right off. Okay, and that took off a lot of it. I didn't hit here, I hit right here mostly, and that's mostly clean. These are silicon carbide, so it's not quite as good, but works very, very well for diamonds. And that's pretty much it. I know this was kind of long-winded and all over the place, but I really do hope it helps some people. And let me know if you have any suggestions. There'll be links in the description for most of the items I talked about here, what I personally use, like this actual cube. Also, I'll have a code for gendateindustries.com. It's just my last name. It'll get you a couple bucks off sharpening products if you need stones, if you need anything. Yeah, have a great one.